Alright Valhalla, welcome back. Today it's the beginning of a series where we're gonna flesh out every single detail and overview all the available skills for every single class, starting off with Assassin. But do not worry, I'm planning to cover all the available classes within the next day, so stay tuned. Additionally, if you're someone that's looking for a good guild and wish to have a great start in the game, feel free to stay by Discord. We are still recruiting on our guilds, and after all, we are a great MMO community. I would say crazy one, but still. Don't forget to like the video, it really helps me achieve my goals, and without further ado, let's get this party started! Right, before we begin, I want to state some facts. One of those facts is that every single skill is gated behind levels. Good thing about that is that almost every single skill can be acquired through gold from the shops. So you do not have to worry about grinding in specific spot about your skills. There are some skills later on that are restrictive based on content, but you don't have to worry at all because leveling is relatively harder in comparison with Japan. So it will take us way much time to reach to that point where we're gonna need to actually grind for skills, if it's gonna be the case on global. Alright, let's kick things off with Fortified Shot. Strike the enemy with a dagger. A decent amount of damage with a decent cooldown. Nothing fancy about that, it's technically your first skill. Moving on with Evasion Focus, concentrate your mind, briefly increasing your dodge chance. +5 for 72 seconds, so a decent personal buff. When you will unlock the second animation, the second link, if you're playing on manual, you have to press the skill twice. If you're on auto, your character will do 2 animations. The second chain will also increase your melee damage by 15% for 70 seconds, so an insane personal buff. And on top of that, you also get 1 seal imprint. We're gonna talk about those things in a bit, right? But insane personal buff. Moving on to push off, strike the enemy with a dagger, pushing them back. Nothing insane here as well. A good amount of damage, lower from your main fortified shot, and with higher cooldown, just pushing the enemy back. Moving on to green ones. From that point on, you will see a lot of links, a lot of debuffs or personal buffs. It's starting to become really interesting. Momentarily ambush the enemy and imprint a seal. So by doing that skill, you will also gain a seal. Critical strike of this attack has a chance of silencing the target. So every time you cast the skill, also has range up to 13 meters with, look the cooldown, like this, 8 seconds. It's insanely good. Technically, this is how you will initiate your opponents, right? Does a good amount of damage, and on top of that, 80% to critical your opponent. And if you succeed, you also silence him, right? Crazy. The second link of this attack, by pressing the skill for a second time when you will unlock that, will consume a seal, as we saw seals earlier, and you will do additional damage to your opponent. And on top of that, you will apply a debuff with all melee damage taken, 5%. So your team, your party, your guild, whatever, can benefit from that as well. Insane. Or your burst can start with this skill, as the initial animation can be casted from range. Crazy. Now, moving on to seal imprint. This is a simple DPS skill on the green ones that will also grant you a seal. Technically, it's the upgraded version of Fortified Shot, right? The damage on level 0, it's 300%, while the white one sitting on 208 at +6. Have that in mind as well. And this skill also grants us a seal. Moving on to the second animation, strike the enemy with your daggers in rapid succession and imprint 2 seals. So this is the main generation of seals, this skill when you unlock. And you can also buy the skill from merchants. Does an insane amount of damage with the second animation. The cooldown is very short, and this is the primary seal generator. Moving on to Seal Blast. Seal cost 3, so this skill consumes 3 seals, striking the enemy with their explosion with 100% chance of stunning the target. BAM, baby! 400% of attack, and you stun your opponent for 2.5 seconds. Oh my damn god. We already have a combo right here, right? You initiate with Flash Strike. Doing the first animation will grant you 1 seal. You can consume the shield to increase your total damage. Actually, debuff your opponent so he can get more melee damage. Spamming your shields, gain 3 shields in total. Let's assume that there is also a chance to silence the target when you initially burst him for 4 seconds, so there is enough time to build up your shields and stun him on top of all those things for 2.5 seconds. Right. Fucking crazy, man. I already love this class, no? For PvP at least seems insane. Alright, let's move on to the blue ones, and this is where the real fun begins, guys. Something that I love in this game, and you will be surprised, is the way that skills actually work. The effects and the overall rotation that you have to do on your opponent seems so fun. Haven't tested actually on PvP yet, but I don't know, I like it already, right? Upon dodging an attack, sneak an attack on the attacker, imprinting a seal with 100% chance of slowing the target. What? And this is a conditional skill. That means that when you're PvPing, or even in PvE, when you successfully dodge an attack, right, the skill will be... you will see the skill indication, and then you can actually press it, right? This is what a conditional skill means. And look at your cooldown, it's like 10 seconds, so it's a decent cooldown. It also does 300% of attack, which is crazy. And on top of that, you also slow your opponent, right? So if someone faces you, especially melees, where as the skill do not have a decent range and they miss you, you can respond with that skill, and not only you will apply a huge amount of damage, but also you will slow them, right? So building assassins with a decent proportion of dodge feels relevant, right? Now, let's move on to the purple ones. Yeah, baby! Consume a shield to become stealthed for a moment with increased movement speed. Yeah, baby! Basic attacks cancel stealth with 100% chance of slowing the target. Alright, moving on to spot weakness, one of my favorite skills. Consume a shield and attack the enemy weak spot with a chance of stunning the target. So, you consume one shield, the cooldown is ridiculous, 10 seconds. The requirements are that your opponent has to be below 30% HP, but does an insane amount of damage, 420%. So technically when your opponent is below 30%, every 10 seconds, maybe it's every 7 seconds, I assume that you will have cooldown reduction item as well, you will spam this shit, and on top of that you have a 30% chance to stun the target as well. Insane. Moving on to binding attack, a conditional skill as well. Attack the stunned enemy, come on, imprinting a seal with 100% chance of blinding the target. You also get one seal imprint in return. The cooldown is 40 seconds, again ridiculous. The requirements is that your enemy is stunned, and you have technically 2 stuns so far. Does a good amount of damage, and also blinds the target. So, if you remember, we have sneak attack as well on our kit. If our opponent is a melee unit and we actually apply this skill on him, after we stun him, for 4 seconds, actually it's not so much, so it's a decent skill, maybe not insane, but maybe 4 seconds are enough for in late game for the opponent to do a lot of misses, and in return we can actually sneak attack him, right? Now, dagger throw. That skill has lower range, by the way, from your initial flash strike. Flash strike is up to 13 meters, this one is 10 meters. Throw your daggers at the enemy from a distance, imprinting a shield, so this is also a shield generator, with 100% chance of slowing the target and a chance of binding them. What? So, 30 second cooldown, 300% of attack, a decent amount of damage, with a chance to bound the target, keep him in place for 2 seconds, and a guarantee slow. Okay, a decent skill for PvP in late game, yeah. Now let's move to the gold ones, the last skills that you will have on the character. Consume all shields as you attack the enemy. Alright, restoring your HP for part of the dealt damage. Deals additional damage in proportion to the number of shields consumed. It has a huge cooldown, 50 seconds, almost 1 minute, and consumes 30 MP. It's a lot. Does 150% of attack, alright, and bonus damage scales to number of consumed shields, multiplied 50% of attack. So I think you can get, let me check. You can get 5 seals in total. Yeah, 5 seals in total. So when you actually activate this skill, 5 multiplies 50, it's 250% bonus damage in total if you want to gather all the seals. Lifesteal recovers HP equal to 20% of damage. Oh fuck. Guys, I don't know, but I feel it's a very decent class for PvP, especially for 1v1, right? Especially against melees. This is how I feel so far. And last skill, Shadow Copy. Consume 2 seals to summon a shadow copy of yourself. What the fuck? Briefly dealing additional damage. Imprinting a seal while the shadow copy is out, imprints 1 additional seal. Alright, so you consume 2 seals to actually activate this skill, but you also gain 1 additional seal when you cast skills that grant seal. Imprint 1 additional seal for 50 seconds. Alright, 30% of damage dealt. This is what the copy does. Every skill you use has a 30% chance of bleed the enemy with 5% of attack damage over time every 1 second for 4 seconds. And on top of that, we reduce his critical strike resistance by 30%. Alright. So it feels like also a decent initiation. Look at the animation, actually is pretty damn fast. The cooldown is big, but the animation looks pretty fast. Okay, right. So let's move on to cover as well the passives. In swiftness, +2 dodge, critical strike chance, all damage, and the requirement for that to trigger is that the enemy is slow or stunned. Nice one. Increases your damage in proportion to your number of seals, so higher the amount of seals we possess, higher the damage that we are doing. Triggers requirement self when 90% HP or above, all damage 10%. So maintaining our HP 90% and above, also we're gonna have more damage. Nice. Increase our total accuracy, critical strike damage 15%. Alright. Killing a player has a chance of decreasing your cooldown. So, god damn. Alright, 50% chance at least. Cooldown reduction, decrease cooldowns by 3 seconds. Right. Alright, guys. Where do we find the skill? Killing monsters, dungeon, and Spartal Rift. So we can actually get the skills or you are in a dungeon. Damn. Maybe increases 5% the chance of the opponent getting stunned. I'm not quite sure what that might be, but it has the weakness spot indication on. And lastly, critical recovery. Critical strikes have a chance of restoring your HP. Oh my god. That's fucking broken, man. 10% chance? Well, with all of that attack speed, with all those flash animations, I think 10% is quite a lot. Recovers 5% of max HP. At least the lifesteal it's not, but 5% of max HP, technically we won't have so much HP, right? We're technically a burst class. But that can be a game changer for sure. Alright. And with that, I think we covered every single assassin skill. Stay tuned for the next one. Feel free to type down in the comments which class you want to see next. It starts to become really interesting, and don't lie about it, I know that you like it. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and until next time, see ya!